Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wytpod. My name is Harshit, and I'm the Director of Business Alliances at White Labs. We are a digital agency specializing in SaaS and e-commerce SEO. And I've got Ted with me today. He's the founder and CEO of SparkyAI. It's a Gen AI super app for marketers and businesses. So, big welcome, big warm welcome to you, Ted. So happy to have you with me.
Actually, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. Super excited to talk to you and your audience today.
Thank you so much. Now, Ted, can you please start by sharing your journey into the field of data analytics and digital marketing, leading up to the founding of Sparky AI?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't want to sound like I'm tremendously old, but I started in my career in digital media and marketing started over 25 years ago. I've worked on a bunch of phenomenal brands of all sizes, from startup brands to Fortune 500 companies. Initially when I started off, I was in the social media side. And back then, it was still a new channel. I mean, Facebook was just coming around. MySpace was still there, actually. So it was interesting back in those days. And everybody could, because it was the hot field, everybody was trying to find an advantage in this Wild West. And what ended up being my big superpower was understanding data. And the way we did that was, with analyzing using text analytics to analyze audience conversations and understanding what the sentiment on the main topics were that the audience actually cared about. And then we were able to deliver strategies and content that was audience centric, and it actually resonated with consumers. And then we also used those insights for product development and new initiatives for the companies. So it was pretty neat. And what started 25 years ago is what led to the journey of and founding of Sparky AI, because all of the AI companies, I should say, a vast majority of the generative AI companies out there have great engineers.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. We too have great engineers. But what we've done is we've taken 25 years of business knowledge, subject matter expertise, and aligned a product and brought a product to market that analyzes and understands how to reach your consumer better and become a force multiplier for solopreneurs, agency teams, and marketing teams. So that's us in a nutshell. And we launched in January of this past year. We have a major update that we're in the process of. So we're super excited. That'll be finalized on Saturday, the 3rd. So we're super duper excited about that. We have some patents that we've applied, and we have some patents pending, I should say, on our techniques and the science behind what we do. So that's the journey in a nutshell. So, yeah, it's super excited.
Brilliant, Ted. I would love to know, what really inspired you to create Sparky AI, and how exactly, if you talk about the differentiating factors, what are the core USPs that it offers? It's a pretty crowded space that you're in.
Yeah, it is. So about 2.5 years ago, being in the industry being in marketing and advertising for 2.5 decades, but 2.5 years ago, I decided to start my own advertising agency. And what I ended up realizing is I was fortunate that I was able to bring a stable of solid, great retained clients with. And by doing that, what I needed to do was quickly scale my creative department, not just the visual creative, but also the copy side of it and the strategy side. So going through those motions, what I realized was, and this was, AI it's still in its infancy, but it was super infant then. I think it was just born. Actually, AI has been around for 2.5 decades. We've used it in text analytics, but it's now becoming more and more prevalent. People are talking about it. So understanding I needed a workforce multiplier. How could I get that? So what I ended up doing was I ended up starting to use GPT to develop personas that clients couldn't afford. The smaller clients couldn't afford developing personas for their brands. So creating personas the old-fashioned way, which is very costly. I invested time to do that, and then to use prompts, which are exceptionally long, to develop personas for clients. and
Mhm.
found that I was able, with refining the prompts and eventually training, we were able to develop, commercial grade personas with deep understanding of the client, including motivating factors, emotions behind changing products, emotions behind purchasing decisions, and psychological theories that would work to trigger emotions. So I was like, well, this works. And I'm going to say something that's probably not a surprise to anyone. Most people hate writing creative briefs, me included. So one of the things I needed to do was like, because the creative team was always like, dude, we need a creative brief for this. I'm like, well, I just told you, like, no, we need it in writing. So to save the time on that, we developed prompts for that, and then evolved them over time, and then generating content. Well, if you go and you use any of the AI tools and you're like, oh, write me a Facebook post on, XY on generative AI, you're going to get garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So developing a process to where in an architecture where content was coming out using natural language styles and tonality and phrasing, that took some time, but I was able to eventually get into that. Then the big thing was, okay, can I create a product that takes the persona that for the buying persona for a product, create a creative brief for a campaign, and then use the creative brief from that campaign to then create the campaign. Because if I could do that, then I'm saving not hours, but I'm saving days of time. That process now using Sparky AI will take less than 4 minutes, or actually call less than 5 minutes, to create a persona, to create a creative brief, and then to do a full campaign. So now I have a workforce multiplier on my MVP product before we started developing the commercial product. So one of the things that most products are missing is the psychological, and I would say the vast majority of products are missing, is the psychological theories and motivators in in creating content. Off Platforms out of the box, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Claude, whether it's Gemini, or even X's Grok, they don't think of the psychology. The other commercial products that are out there aren't talking about the psychology, nor does the output reflect a psychology or psychological theory that's used to create it to resonate with an audience. So our biggest unique selling proposition is the psychological factors that we use to create the content. With our update that's coming out, we actually tell you what theory we use and why it will resonate with your audience. So you're not guessing why is this going to work, or why it was written. So we're bringing some transparency there. The other thing that we're doing that some of the other platforms are coming up with is we're doing image generation. Biggest difference with us is when going forward with the new update, when any content that is created that requires an image, we will give you a recommendation of what the image should be, as well as we'll create the base prompt. So you then can go into our image generating tools and put that base prompt in there and then start developing from there to get the image that you want. So now all of a sudden, you don't have to leave the platform to go create what you want for a finished product. So when you look at it, we're trying to bring, you know, if you look at everyone that's involved in the product, a couple centuries of subject matter expertise into developing a product that brings our end users, you know, full transparency, but also content that can resonate, content that can make a difference, and content that when you send it out doesn't sound like it came out of a box. So we're really super excited about that. And that, those are our biggest, advantages. Like I said, we do have some patents that are pending. So we're, even more excited about that because what we have is truly unique. And, it's like super cool. And, I have a hard time sleeping at night because it's just that cool. I'm in it. I'm testing it, and we have so many other tools that we're coming out with that over the course of the next 6 months to 12 months, we're looking to, just further grow and create and evolve into something that is exceptionally unique.
Mhm.
And literally, you can do all your work in one platform. If you want to create a blog, well, yeah, okay, write me a blog. Great, we'll write the blog. But okay, you still need a title. You still need, you guys being SEO experts should know, you need a meta title, you need a meta description, you need a URL slug that are SEO optimized. Well, we're sending out content in that one, generate a blog for me that gives you the entire thing, as well as the image recommendation and image prompt, and then an explanation of why it should resonate with your audience. So if you want to go in and optimize it, which I always recommend, people should optimize any AI content that comes out, give it that human touch. You can go in, but keep in mind what psychological principles were used, so that way you can stay within that framework to get a better performing content.
No, that's brilliant. And the psychological element that you just talked about, I would love to understand a bit more on that front. What are the key psychological principles you have, basically developed that enhances the effectiveness, of the content generation on the platform?
Sure. So what we were able to do, we did a study, and we took and did a longitudinal study on applied behavioral science. And what we did was we came down with what we call, I'll try to keep this short for the podcast, because I could talk like for 3 days, 4 days on this, to tell you what the 10 are. But we have 10, we've come down with 10 behavioral sparks. And with these behavioral sparks, what we're able to do is, through the analysis of content, through the analysis of audience behavior and demographics, we're able to understand what the motivating factors and psychological elements behind a person buying a product. So, for instance, if we were trying to create a psychological profile on you, and let's say you as a single person, as an accountant, single person with 10 children at home, your buying motivation is going to be different than Harshit, the single man that is a stockbroker working on Wall Street. So there are different principles that would apply for each person, and there are different emotional triggers that apply for each person. But we're able to then take those and put them in a framework where we then can create content that pulls in the hundreds of psychological theories that are out there, pulls in the appropriate theory for targeting you to buy a pencil as opposed to buying a soda.
Hmm.
Because either both of those individuals that I mentioned would have a different profile to buy a pencil than they would a soda, than they would an automobile.
Yeah.
So it's understanding down to the product what psychological theory would work best. And that's what we're able to do. And the content that we're able to create is pretty cool. From a non-technical perspective, it's really cool.
All right. Now, how should marketers approach their content strategies? What's the right way? When they're utilizing AI tools like Spark AI, or to be honest, like any other, content generation tool, to maximize its effectiveness.
That's a fantastic question. Obviously I'm biased on tools, but that being said, even with Sparky, what I recommend to friends is you have to, you know, familiarize yourself with the tool. What are its weaknesses and strengths, and then go from there. Another thing is, if you were even if you're using standard GPT or standard Claude, if you tell it to write you a Facebook post you know about the best reason to buy a pencil, and that's it, then you're going to fail. You have to give these tools detail. You have to give them context. And you just can't just say, write me a blog post on buying, a number two pencil. You have to give it the detail, the context of the pencil. You have to tell them what the persona is, so we can generate content to that persona. You know, tell it how to write. Just our writing prompt. The writing aspect of what we do, the drop downs. You get to choose 3 tones. Okay, well, those three tones, can be like three words,
Yeah.
but those three words, when we guide our foundational models to write, that's that could be up to 1,000 characters. So it's not just write in a fun, educational, and trustworthy manner. Well, that now is expanded. So that's how you're able to better use these tools. And then the other thing, take the time to learn them.
Yeah.
The more you use them, the more you use, you go back to SEO stuff, the more you use and understand Google Analytics and keyword planners and search, search trends, the better you are at that, the more the greater ability you'll have to create better outputs. Same with that with AI. We're in its infancy right now. Only 4% of the US population is using AI on a daily basis.
Okay.
So, and it's just like when I'm old enough to remember when Google came out, when search came out, period. Before there was Google, there was a hesitancy. The early adapters were in, they were excited about it. They weren't intimidated by it. And that's the other thing I would say is don't be intimidated by the tools, and do your research and find the right tools to use. And if you have a bad experience on one tool, realize that it's not all tools that are like that.
Yeah.
So you have to go through, do your diligence, some trial and error, but then once you find that tool, use it to your best ability. It doesn't matter what the tool is. Speaking on an industry perspective, you want to be able to become an adapter, become an early adapter, and watch the evolution. Because even from when I started developing Sparky and bringing it to market, what was available 18 months ago and what we have available now is night and day. From our launch in January to the update we're pushing live now, night and day. We did really great content, and we still do. This new push takes it that extra level because you're able to do more things. And we've been training models a little more, and the training sets are getting better. So, and then you hear customer feedback. I think I mentioned on a one-on-one with you, we've had customers say, hey, look, this is great that it can do, you can create drip emails, but we're getting these responses. We don't know how to respond. And it's like, oh, well, we'll build a tool for that. So that's being released. So you can put an email in there, and you tell her what you think the response should be, and it'll generate a response for you along that effect. Yeah. So it's early. Jump in there, test. Don't get frustrated, but realize it takes some work to do the content that you want it to do.
Yeah, for sure. And now I understand that it's not been really long since you launched Sparky, but still would love to understand like what all with respect to your marketing that you're planning, to put the word out about Sparky and get that
Right.
out.
So absolutely. So what we did was when in the development, we wanted to make sure we had a really solid product, and up until now, the vast majority of our hard dollars were invested in development and optimization of the platform. We've been really fortunate because we've got some great engineers that put in the long hours to bring us to where we're at. Initially, our go-to market from the launch was organic content, and because we're putting content out that is resonating with audiences, we're getting traction. So that's super exciting at that point. Now we're going to use our tools to create our LinkedIn ads, our Facebook ads, and start with some good paid campaigns to bring some greater awareness to Sparky. So that's where we're going. We're also doing some seminars and webinars, as well as some live events and some partnerships. So we're super excited about bringing the awareness to the new line of product, that we have, and then just bringing awareness to the brand, because once people try it and they start using it, they're hooked. We're fortunate that with just the organic outreach that we've done, and SEO works. It's old school. It doesn't work on day one because SEO doesn't work like that, but it builds that traction. And, our content's been our organic content on LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, and our blog posts, they've been able to get us that traction. So we're super excited. We have clients, we're global. We have clients around the world, which is super awesome to realize that a company that's based in Metro Atlanta, upon launch, actually has global clients. And, that's where it's at. But we are looking to integrate strategically on a media mix that does incorporate a good portion of paid media going into it.
Gotcha. All right. Tell me like one more thing
Sure.
regarding your target ICP. I would love to understand that better. You're targeting both businesses as well as marketers. Can you just put some more light on that front?
Sure. It's so in my career, I've been both a freelancer and in a business. So what we did is Sparky at the core is designed for the enterprise client, for teams. But what I go back to my upbringing, and my father was a solopreneur, owned his own restaurant, and I have a lot of friends that are solopreneurs, whether it's on the content side or businesses, and at times they can't afford agencies.
Mhm.
So what I wanted to do was create a product that we can go after our main line of the teams and enterprises, but give a product to the community, to the individual, to the solopreneurs that's just as powerful, and that they can sit there and they can be empowered to use Sparky as a force multiplier for their own good. Solopreneurs, you look at the freelancer, they have to do their books, they have to do their own marketing, they have to do client work. All of that keeps piling up and up and up. So the development of it did not cost more,
Mhm.
but we're able then to take that level of expertise on the team side and the marketing side, the agency side, and pass that on to the solopreneur. So that way we can help empower them. And maybe one of those guys becomes a big enterprise, which would be great. But if we can take and give back time, because that is our most precious commodity, is time. If we can give back time to people, because the harder, more tedious work, the majority of it is done for them, and they can then just make minor optimizations. If we can give them time, if we can give them time back to either work more in their business, spend more time with their family, have a better mental wellness, then that's a win-win for everyone. So yes, we're enterprise grade, but we have that client that is the individual, because we want to give that back to them. And believe it or not, we actually have a good mix of both. I I am pleasantly surprised. And we have people that, we have, because I do outreach, we have people that actually work for companies and agencies that are using the solo plan because they're just overwhelmed, and we're helping them get caught up. So if the company doesn't want to go down that route, for whatever reason, then the individual can go down that route also. We're very affordable. We're not the cheapest on the market. We're not the most expensive on the market, but we're super affordable in our plans. And we're just excited, that we can give back time to people, and give them content that resonates, and that they won't be as frustrated. And we're also open to ideas from our users, on product features. Like I mentioned, the reply email one was one that we had gotten from we have some clients that are part of some major league sports franchises, and they're on the sales side, and they were like, we need some help on this. And we get these replies, we need some help on how we can reply better. So we've developed a couple tools for that. We had some friends that are legislators that when we early launched Sparky, they were just getting ready to go into session. And they were like, how do, we look at almost 1,500 bills in 40 some odd days. Does your tool, can it summarize them so we get a cursory what's going on, and then we can dive in deeper? So we created two tools for some legislative branches, so they can summarize bills that and then go have someone take a deeper look. So yeah, that's the power of AI, is giving people time back. Because how do you look at 1,500 bills in 40 days?
Yeah.
You know, how do you reply back to 1,100 emails?
Yeah.
You know,
And then, like, because you mentioned, I mean, definitely your targeting is really broad, and I get it, like, and that's something like, many of the SaaS tools, what they do is, although definitely the tool can solve purpose for multiple industries, for, you know, multiple business sizes altogether, but still, because they want to make their content resonate with one specific group. I mean, it's easy to market a specific group than going broad. So that is what they choose to, right? So the
yeah,
type of SaaS tools, they say, like, maybe this particular CRM is just for marketing agencies, or this particular,
right,
right, you must have seen it, because
right.
marketing a broad audience is tough. So how do you ensure that your content resonate with such broad audience? That's my question.
Well, it's when we generate the content. We identify what our audience is for that blog piece.
Okay.
So for that blog piece, if we want to, we'll use our persona that's a solopreneur,
Mhm.
and then we'll create content that's specifically for that solopreneur. Or if we want to create content that's for agencies or in-house marketing teams, we have personas built upon for them
Mhm.
based on which tools we're discussing, and then that content is generated for those individuals. So we're able to then target, you know, organically content that way. With the paid campaigns that come out, the targeting will be very, very much isolated and hyper targeted, but then that content won't be the same content that we kick out for solopreneurs if we're going after a PR agency, or if
Mhm.
we're targeting a marketing agency, which they're agencies, but they're two different kinds of agencies. And then additionally, we can, it's creating content that granular where you're hitting their pain points. So because the content that we'll create for the solopreneur is definitely not the same content that we create for the larger sized agencies. It's
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
not, because their pain points are different.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. But then also, like, the way a specific group perceives your brand, if it is not specializing, for for their specific need, maybe they might have seen a blog article which resonates with them, then they go to the main landing page, and then they see, it's not a specialized for a specific group, they
Right.
might mark bounce off. So instances like that happen. I think that's the reason, people go niche compared to going broad.
Yeah,
So
they do, but AI is just such a different animal than what has been done before. And because of the nature of the beast itself, and not just that, but the way that we're able to create content, it further defines, who we're able and how we're able to target them. And we do have use cases on the website for everything from a solopreneur to salespeople to how it's used properly in their niche. So
mhm.
that way they can become a little more comfortable. The proof for us has been great, because our clientele is our subscriber base is broad, and it covers, like I mentioned earlier, everything from the solopreneur to the enterprise and across a bunch of different industries, which is fascinating. We have engineering groups using it for content, as well as, sports teams, to legitimately solopreneurs that are promoting their products.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat. And I think, and that's where the power of it is we're able to get that broad appeal, is because the content that comes out.
That's brilliant. All right, Ted. Now, as a futurist, what trends do
Yes.
you see, basically shaping the future of digital marketing and content creation?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think we're starting to go along the line of what I was thinking years ago is, with all the technologies that are coming out, we're able to create such personalized experiences in the marketing world. If you think about it, years ago when we first came out, we were just happy to get an ad out. you know, and then targeting came out and we're like, oh wow, we can do, targeting to audiences. This is great.
Yeah.
What I see happening, we build more and more data every single day. I mean, we have just unsurmountable amounts of data with us. The moment we can start meshing more and more of that data, we're going to see even more advertising coming on and marketing coming on that is hyper targeted down to the individual level. Imagine, sitting there watching television and a soda commercial comes on and all of a sudden your biometrics start elevating. Well,
Yeah.
maybe you're wearing a connected watch and you've agreed to marketing and to all the you've agreed to all the privacy and data stuff, and all of a sudden, because you see on the TV, someone drinking a soda, your biometrics are elevated. All of a sudden you get a text message or an email targeted to you about a new soda brand, and it's stuff like that that can come, that I see coming. We're not there, but I see more and more personalized messaging coming that's going to, that will break through the noise of what's there. I think that is going to be really neat. We'll have our ethical issues of bias and data leakage and data privacy, but as those and those silos for privacy and bias are conquered in the matter of made safe for people. I see that type of hyper targeting coming along. And I think that's neat. I was saying that, gosh, 20 years ago, wouldn't it be cool, if we could do this, and this, and we're getting better because now just on with the AI stuff, we can hyper target the content that's being created. So now if we can take that extra level in there, and it would be neat, so super excited about that. I see that coming. I see the integration of AI further into our daily lives. There was a study that said the study happened, gosh, it was just like a couple months ago. It came out and it said that roughly 7% of the US public is using AI on a daily basis. So we may talk about it. People, you and I may talk about it every single day, but only 7% of the population is using it. So as that becomes more prevalent in people's lives, I think we're going to start getting more of our life back. I think the efficiencies that it'll bring for us will be massive. And I think that as excited as I am about the targeted advertising, I think the efficiencies that it's going to bring for us to alleviate some of the more tedious work, I think that's what's the most exciting to me. Because like I said, time is the most valuable resource we have.
Yeah.
We can't make more of it. Trust me, if we could, we would.
All right, Ted. We're coming to an end, and I would now love to have a quick rapid fire with you. Are you ready
Sure.
for that?
Let's go.
What habit holds you back the most?
Thinking, overthinking.
All right. What chore do you absolutely despise doing?
Writing creative briefs.
You mentioned earlier. What subject do you find to be most fascinating?
The human mind.
No wonder you're integrating psychological. All right. What career did you dream of having as a kid?
Oh wow, that's a great one. I always wanted as a kid to have a home in Greece where my parents are from that was on the beach. Always loved going there as a kid. I go there with my wife and have lots of family there, but that was something I always wanted as a kid.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. Okay, our very last question. What was your last Gen AI prompt?
My last Gen AI prompt. That is a great question. It is a prompt to create a press release for new hires.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ted. I
That's
really,
6,000 characters.
yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Ted. I really enjoyed this conversation. We had a fun, session, and thank you so much for sharing such wonderful information about your prior experiences about Sparky. It was brilliant, and yeah.
So much for having me. Look, it's been a pleasure, lots of fun. Thank you. Truly humbled to be on the podcast. Congratulations on the great work that you guys do and your team does for your clients. One thing, I mentioned try products. If you or your audience is interested in trying Sparky, we have a 25% off discount code for any subscription. And it's real simple. It's Wytpod, WYT pod, POD 25. And we'd love to give that to you guys just as a thank you for having me on here. You're such a great guy. And, I look forward to future conversations as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you so much.